A lot of people think a buzz cut is the easiest haircut, but the fade is what makes or breaks it. In this video, I'm going to show you my fading system that makes going from this to this simple, clean, and efficient. The key is to have a consistent system that you follow every single haircut so you're not guessing your way through the blend. Let's get right into it. On this haircut today, we're doing a 5 on top with a high fade. So as always, we're going to have our 5 closed and making sure we get every single hair that stands up, especially with straight hair. It tends to stand up a lot, so every inconsistency, you're going to see it in the haircut. So just make sure you're getting all directions going against the grain. And then here we're going to go with our 4 right on the sides and just starting our shape, debulking on the sides, going right off the head and creating our shape for the haircut. And since we did a 5 on top, this 4 is going to blend right into it. So now let's start our bald line. We're going to put it right at the top of the C cup, and we're going to slightly drop it in the back. Setting in the bald line is one of the most important parts of the haircut. Every guideline that you do after this is going to follow the shape of your bald line. So make it as clean and even as you can. And I do like to set my bald line in with a trimmer. I don't really like doing it with the clipper. I've tried that before and I just feel like I don't get a clean enough line as I like to. The only thing is I'm not pressing super hard on the skin. I'm just being very light with a trimmer, just making sure I get a clean line but I can still take it out. So after we set our bald line in, we're going to just clean up all the bulk underneath, just setting up our canvas, getting it ready to fade. So right after we clean up all the bulk under our bald line, I like to set in my first guideline about a finger's width length with our no guard open. And we're just following the bald line, making sure our guideline is super clean and as even as we can get it. So for my fading system, I like to set my guidelines in as fast as possible. This allows me to start the actual fading process faster so that I can get to detailing faster. So when I'm setting in my guidelines, I'm usually standing in the same spot and I'm just moving the chair to get my guidelines in all around the head. So my first pass, I make a rough draft of my guideline, and then as I'm turning back my chair, that's when I make sure that it's as clean as possible. So right here is my 1.5 open, and you'll see we're just doing the same thing, turning our chair, making that guideline about the same width as our previous guideline. And as we turn the chair back around, we're just going to make sure that our guideline is as clean and even as possible. And then here I'm going to close my 1.5, and I'm going to go just halfway up that section that I just created. And same thing, just turning the chair so that I don't have to move around the head as much, which helps me cut faster and more efficient. And once I'm done with that, this is my 3 guard open. And same thing, this is going right above that 1.5 guideline open and just fading into the 4 closed that we did to start the haircut. And then once we do that, we're going to close our clipper and just work right underneath that. And once we do that, we're going to go to our 1.5. We're going to start open, and you can see a line right in between that 1.5 and the 3, and we're going to start fading that line out. I'm going to go halfway, just working little by little, section by section, until the line comes out. So there you can see the line starting with our 1.5 open. As we move towards the back, then we're going to go halfway, and that should take the line out between the 1.5 closed and the 3 guard. We're just going to do the same thing all around the haircut. So right there you could see the slight line. So I'm going to start with our 1.5 open and fade that right into the 3 closed that we just did. And if the line doesn't come out, we're going to go right into our 1.5 halfway and start detailing that line until it starts fading out. And just work section by section so that you know exactly where you are in your fade. So again, right here, you'll see that faint line. You're going to start with a 1.5 open, blending into that 3, and then going right into that 1.5 halfway to fade that line out. And if you missed any dark spots, you can just go back in, starting with your lever open and closing it little by little until any lines come out. So now we're going to go on our half guard halfway and start attacking that line right underneath there. So what we're doing here is basically taking that line up slightly to where the darkness of that line comes up a little bit. And if it doesn't, then you're going to go with your clipper closed and you're just going to attack that line right underneath until that lightness or that darkness fades into the lightness, so that we can go in with our half guard fully open. So now whenever we do hit that line, it should start slowly fading out. So our half guard fully open is going to be acting as our 1 closed and our 1 open at the same time, just slowly fading into our 1.5 closed that we went up our guideline halfway. So when I have my half guard fully on the head open, that acts as a, let's say, a 1 closed. But if I start kind of fading and flicking it into the top area above that, then that's acting more of like a 1 open, which fades into the 1.5 closed. So here we're going to do the same exact thing, taking that line out. We're going to start with our half guard halfway, and we're going to slightly try to bring that line up. And if it doesn't, if you can see right there, it's still slightly dark, so I'm going to close it, and that's going to fade that no guard open right into that. So now I can go in my half guard open and start slowly taking that line out. And I'm going to close the lever just little by little until that line fully comes out. And that's basically what detailing is. Detailing is trial and error. It's starting with a higher guard or a higher length, let's say, and just slightly going little by little, closing your lever or going slightly shorter until that line comes out. One thing I learned about fading and detailing is shade over length. And I feel like once you understand that, your fades come out a lot nicer, and you can really see little inconsistencies in the fade and start detailing a lot more, which gives a cleaner and blurrier fade. Shade over length basically means that instead of just focusing on the length of the hair, I'm focusing more on the shade of the hair. Like, let's say someone wanted a 1 all around or a 1 fade all around, right? If you go in with your 1 guard, let's say with your 1 guard fully closed all around the head, it's not going to look perfect. There's going to be dark spots, there's going to be light spots, and that's where shade over length comes in. It's basically having the understanding that even though I do have this length all the way around, there's still going to be dark spots or light spots in the fade, and that's where detailing comes in. So even if I did go with my 1 guard all the way around the head, I might even still have to use my half guard closed in certain areas to make sure that the lightness or like the shade of the hair is the same all around the head. So when you're fading, kind of think about that shade over length. That's why it's important to set our lengths first and put our guidelines in, so that we could focus on taking out any dark spots or any inconsistencies in the fade. So like here, when I'm taking out the guideline with the half guard, I start with the half guard halfway, and if there's any darkness still underneath that half guard, I go in with it closed, and then right after that I can go in with my half guard fully open and start fading out that line. So I know where my lengths are. Now I can start opening and closing my lever to take out any dark spots that are left behind. So once we're done with our half guard and everything looks clean, we'll blow dry off the client, make sure there's no hair on them, especially in the neck area, and then we could start taking out our bald line. So now we're going to go in with our shaver, and you can see right here where I'm putting my fingers, that's where I'm going to bring the shaver up to, and anything above that I'm going to start flicking my shaver into, not right into that bald line, but like right underneath. So I have the shaver fully on the head, right underneath, and as I get towards that line, I'm going to start flicking up and kind of pressing down on the shaver as well to slowly fade in that baldness into the stubble. So here, shaver fully on the head, and right as I get up to that bald line, right there, right underneath, about a finger's width length as well, I'm gonna start flicking my shaver right into that stubble so that I can go from a nice smooth baldness right into stubble. And this is how you make sure that you don't leave a shaver line. Most people leave shaver lines because they're bringing up that shaver right up to that bald line, but you want to leave at least like a finger's width length right under that. So right there you can see my comb where I'm putting it, and I'm starting to flick it right into that stubble from the trimmer. So right there you can see I'm flicking into it, and I'm also tapping down, just making sure that that baldness is fading into the stubble from the trimmer. And then we'll go in with our clipper closed to take out that bald line. So there, I'm tapping down, just making sure it's nice and clean, and there's a nice transition from the full shaved smooth skin right into the stubble from the trimmer. So right there with my comb, you'll see about a finger's width right under the bald line is where I'll take my shaver fully on the head, and then I'll start flicking into the stubble of the trimmer right there. And once we got it shaver bald, we can start taking our bald line out. We're going to start with our clipper closed, and same thing, we're going to slightly bring up that line. And remember, we punched this line in with our trimmer, but we didn't fully press down on the skin. We kept it as light as we could so that when we go in with our clipper closed, this should fade in to that trimmer line. So boom, once we brought up that line just a little bit, we're going to go in with our no guard again, but we're going to bring our lever halfway. So right there, that line that we just brought up, we're now attacking that line once again. And whenever we think about our length points, anything under that halfway point or that halfway lever should come out with our clipper closed just one more notch. And if not, that's when we could start implementing shade over length, because we know our lengths, so now we can hit any dark spots we see in the fade. Once you have a system that you follow for every single haircut, every single fade, or every single taper, it makes it super easy to stay efficient and not get lost in the haircut, not get lost in the fading process. The way that I think about, or the way that I approach detailing and fading is I like to break up the fade or the haircut into sections, right? So here you can see that I kind of showed sections with my comb, and about like 1 to 2 inch sections, that's where I'm focusing on and working on any dark spots that I see in the fade in those certain sections, and moving on to each section after I finish or like how the fade is looking in that certain section. So here I have my half guard, and I'm just attacking any lines or dark spots that I see, going section by section. So here I split it up in those in those 3 sections, and I'm just working section by section, making sure I like how the blend looks in each individual section. Doing this also helps you not get lost in the fade, because sometimes whenever you are fading, it can get blurry. It can get blurry, and you start seeing it as one big fade. But whenever you do kind of break it into sections, then you can see those dark spots and those inconsistencies a lot easier, so that your blend looks a lot better in the bigger picture. So we just finished the right side of the head. Now we're going to work in the back, and we're just going to go through the same process that we just did. So we're going to start with our no guard closed, and also if anything under that still has a slight line, you can just go in with your trimmer and just make sure that that line is out, or that stubble is blended. And then we can go in with our no guard halfway and just hitting that line, and right underneath we're going to close it one more notch, and anything under that halfway point should come out. And if not, then we could start blending and detailing, playing with our lever until the dark spots come out. So right here, just playing with the lever, going little by little, opening and closing until dark spots come out. As you get towards the round of the head and here in the back, the hair tends to be a lot thicker, coarser, and denser than the hair on the sides. So sometimes you are gonna have to spread that lightness and the baldness out just a little bit more in these sections or in this area, just because the hair is gonna tend to look darker. So even though it might be the same length that we did on the sides, sometimes we might have to even go a little shorter in these back areas and the corner or the round of the head, just to make sure that the blend is fading nicely and looks consistent throughout the whole head and the haircut. So here I got my lever open. I'm just attacking any dark spots that I see and just slowly closing my lever little by little until the fade is blending the way I want it to look. And just working right here on the round of the head, working in each individual section until I like it, and then I'll move on to the next little section right here. So here I got my half guard, and we're going to start open, start attacking that line right there, closing the lever little by little, taking the half guard off, starting with our lever open, and once again closing the lever little by little until any dark spots or inconsistencies are gone. And if you're liking this video so far and you found it informative or you're learning something, please go ahead and like this video, subscribe for more content just like this. It helps me so much. So you see right here, I'm tapping down with my shaver. This just gets rid of some of those dark spots while not leaving a harsh bald line. So whenever you're going up with a shaver, it's gonna leave a harsh baldness, but if you kind of tap down and be light with it, it'll lighten up any dark spots or stubble that's really dark that you can't quite get with your trimmer or your clipper. So if you've been following along the whole haircut, you should know that our process of taking the bald line out is clipper closed, halfway, one notch closed, and then open the lever, detailing, and then playing with our guards, with our half guard, 1.5, just going from guard to guard, closing the lever little by little until any dark spots that we see are out, working section by section till our fade is as clean and blurry as we want it. As long as you have your system and you stick to it, fading becomes very easy. as long as you work section by section and follow the system. So just like the right side, once you're done with your fading process, you can break up the side into 3 sections and start working section by section, getting rid of any dark spots you see. So here, starting with our half guard open and just working that lever little by little in this little section and making sure that our fade looks as clean as we want it to. And once we're done with that, we're going to take our guard off, and same thing, any dark spots we see, you're just going to go at it, clipper open and close little by little until it's out. And once we like how that section looks, then we can move on to our next section right there, and then work on any dark spots that we see. And same thing, just going to start detailing, closing our lever little by little, going guard for guard until we like how our fade looks. I also had a random thought just now. I just moved into a suite in our barbershop, and man, I don't know how barbers and suites do it, because man, it gets lonely back here. Every time I'm not cutting, I go back to the floor and I go talk to the guys, because man, I don't know how y'all do it, man. Random intrusive thought to finish the fade. So now once we're done, we can go back with our 5 guard closed and just retouch anything on the top, making sure the top is clean and even and there's no stragglers or stubborn hair that we missed whenever we did our first pass through at the start. So moving on to our last part of the haircut, I like to go in with a 3 guard closed and just taking that clipper right off the head shape, not going into the head, so that it doesn't leave a harsh line into that 5 that we did on top, but it's just kind of cleaning up the lineup and getting it ready for the lineup. Because we're going to be cutting the hair anyways, just might as well have it nice and clean. And this is kind of basically, let's say, debulking the lineup. So for the lineup, we're going to try to keep it as natural but as sharp as possible. So not digging into the lineup too much, just enough to get a clean line. And then here on the vertical bars, I like to kind of push into the line and then pull out as I kind of make my straight line. One important thing also whenever you are doing lineups is the angle that you're looking at the lineup from. So especially with straight hair, whenever, let's say, the lineup is eye level, it's not going to look the same from whenever you're looking at it from a little higher of a point of view. So just make sure that the lineup looks straight at both angles. So same thing with the vertical bars. We're just going to kind of slightly push into that line, making it straight, and then just pulling out until it's nice and clean. So now we're just going to quickly line up the stash and the goatee, keeping it nice and clean. Some barbers charge to do this. I do it for free. It takes little to no added time to the haircut, and it just adds value to your service. So I recommend, just if the client wants, just kind of give them a nice cleanup and make sure everything looks nice. I would say just add value where you can. Complimentary eyebrows, designs, facial cleanups, and this just makes it easier for when you are ready to raise your price, that your service is actually valuable and the client sees it as something that they would pay good money for, and not just any other regular haircut. And also, if you guys are interested, I can also make videos about kind of like the business side of barberings, and maybe even how and when to raise your prices and all that good stuff. So just comment down below and let me know. And so last part of the haircut, just cleaning up the lineup with the razor. And yeah, that's the whole haircut. I hope y'all learned something you can use on your next haircut. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe. I'm going to try to post at least once a week. Turn on the post notifications so you know every time I drop. And remember, nothing changes if nothing changes. I'm out.